Hi, it's Ra, Rishikavi Ragudas from Star Presence Astrology, here to give the astrological forecast for Saturday, November 2nd, 2024. Well, this is a day that begins dark, stays dark, and ends dark, and it's one of those very dark weekends that may prove troublesome, but let's look on the positive side because there is an opportunity for rebirth today, which is the positive side of Scorpio. It's not just all the death, it is the rebirth. And the new moon yesterday means that the moon is waxing today, even though both sun and moon are in Scorpio, so that's a more positive element. And Mercury, the planet of communication, is also changing signs today. It's still in late Scorpio for the moment, and then moves into the more lighthearted sign of Sagittarius, fire sign of Sag, later in the day. But let's begin with the sun, which is at 10, moving to 11 degrees of deep dark water sign Scorpio, the sign, of course, that is most associated with probing into the depths of life, into the great mysteries, whether through sex, through metaphysics, or through just plain research. Scorpio likes to dig deep, and the moon, as I mentioned, is moving through the latter degrees of Scorpio all day. But let's begin with Mercury, which makes a harmonious trine to Mars, a planet of energy and often conflict, during the predawn hours, which provides you with some energy. So if you're up late, I understand why. First thing in the daytime, Mercury makes a harmonious sextile, 60-degree angle to Pluto, which is Scorpio's ruling planet, and sitting at 29 degrees of Capricorn. And that's actually a nice empowerment energy and good for research. So if you needed to dig into something and just find out what's really going on, this is an excellent time for it. 8:03 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time is when it's exact. 11:03 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time and 4:03 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Mercury moves into fire sign Sagittarius at 12:18 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 3:18 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 8:18 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. It changes the energy into something a little bit more lighthearted. We need that. Now, the moon, as I mentioned, is still in Scorpio, but during the pre-dawn hours, it makes an interesting energy. It's called a yod or a yod. It is a combination of two awkward inconjuncts together with the moon as the pivotal third point, and that's actually called the finger of God aspect. And because the planets involved are Jupiter, which is good fortune, and Chiron, which is wounding and or healing, this looks to be a good time emotionally to just kind of heal old issues. So you've got a waxing new moon in Scorpio to do it with. Not so bad. So maybe call up that ex and say, I'm sorry, or can we resolve things? This is one of those moments that could be very fruitful if you don't get into it with them. Okay, then there are no lunar aspects until the afternoon when the moon makes a little bit of a tough opposition to Uranus, the planet of sudden change and often chaos, which is at 25 degrees of Taurus. So when the moon gets to 25 of Scorpio, makes that opposition. That occurs 2:06 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 5:06 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 10:06 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And then we've got a nice spiritual and creative energy as the moon makes a trine to Neptune, which is sitting at 28 of Pisces, as it moves out of Scorpio, the moon I mean, and that occurs at 5:20 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 1:20 a.m. tomorrow Greenwich Mean Time. Moon makes a couple of more harmonious aspects and then moves into Sagittarius, the more lighthearted and adventurous fire sign, at 10:19 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 1:19 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 6:19 tomorrow a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And then, of course, conjoins Mercury on its way out because Mercury just moved into Sag. So tomorrow's energy is a little bit lighter, at least of both of those planets, and we certainly need it because the exact opposition of Mars and Pluto takes place early in the day, during the early hours. Mars at 29 degrees of Cancer, and Pluto, of course, at 29 of Capricorn. That's about as harsh as it comes, and you want to be very careful. It's very passionate. I mean, if you're using it for bedroom purposes, that can be really nice. But otherwise, it's one of these really conflictual energies and, could even be a little violent. So you want to be really careful. That occurs during the pre-dawn hours tomorrow, 3:37 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 6:37 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 11:37 a.m. tomorrow Greenwich Mean Time. So Today, good for resolving conflicts so you don't get into it tomorrow. I'm Ra, Rishi Kavi Raghudas from Star Presence Astrology. Now, if you would like to have a personal reading with me, you can book it on my website, which is starpresence.net. Remember, from the very moment that you're born, you've got star presence. Enjoy this day, hey, no matter what.